What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more anime score, and we're going to listen to another tune from A Certain Scientific Railgun, specifically the second season, or S, A Certain Scientific Railgun S. And even more narrowly, there are two soundtracks to Season S. This comes from the second one. I believe all the music from the series is composed by Iuchi Maiko. Certainly this second album of Season 2 is, and I think both albums from Season 1 and both albums from Season 2, so yeah, I think it's all of them, but in any case, I know for a fact this second album of Season S is composed by Iuchi Maiko, and this track is Mistakes Born Out of Purity, is that right? Mistakes Born Out of Purity, yes. So I like the phrasing. It's, the idea that someone might do something which they might later regret or which might cause problems, but it didn't come from a place of malice or mischief. It came out of a simplicity and maybe a naivete, and thus, the idea of purity being like the moral quality, but perhaps that means, by extension, a lack of understanding of the more nuanced or complicated realities. In the moment, I don't remember specifically where this plays. I definitely think it plays during moments when people are considering what may happen, and definitely I think it is in relation to some of the lead characters, not only Makoto Misaka, but also Shirai Kuroko and the big four, which is to say Uriharu and Saten as well. I think this relates to when one or more of them is worried about another member of the core group, the main characters. And again, over the course of the 3 seasons, the amount of characters just continues to expand. Now that is in fact a product of the larger universe this comes from. Again, I think I explained this before, and shout out to Michaela, who's been enjoying the series, and ultimately I'm looking forward to doing a full watch-along of it over on Patreon. But yes, it comes from a franchise of manga, which is originally, or like the fundamental or foundational series is A Certain Magical Index, and then A Certain Scientific Railgun was a side story, but then that flourished into its own series and a number of manga volumes and multiple seasons of anime, but then there have been additional spin-off series that have come from Railgun. So yeah, it's an overlapping series of manga storylines and anime, and in each case they're kind of looking at the same events and going through the same timelines, but from the point of view of a different set of characters, although a number of the main characters show up in the different storylines or the different series. In any case, as I said, I think this tune is used in scenes related to the main 4 of Railgun, though as I said, I don't quite remember any specific scenes where it plays. Let's give it a listen. This is from series composer Iuchi Maiko, a track called Mistakes Born Out of Purity, and it's from the second soundtrack for the second season, or A Certain Scientific Railgun S. It's beautiful, and yet I think the middle section, which has a lot of tension, even a bit of dissonance, I think it speaks to the track title, meaning the beginning it's simple, it's pure, it feels very tender with those little piano strokes. And then, as I said, as it gets into the middle of the track, it feels like there's a bit of uncomfortability that develops, which the idea that that simple purity but also naivete may have led to choices or decisions which are not ideal. And again, without even remembering if this track plays during the episodes and scenes where this concept is relevant, it does make me think the main character, the Railgun character, that's her name, Railgun, Makoto Misaka, she often tries to take care of things without troubling others, without bothering others, but that desire to go it alone and to, not inform people of what's happening, even to kind of keep it from them for their own sake, but it ends up causing problems. And she, I think, as the show goes along, realizes that maybe reaching out to people who are there to support you and help you is more of a wise decision, even if, again, it goes a bit against her nature a little bit. So the idea that this might be in relation to that, like, there's a purity to her disposition and her emotional sense of not wanting to cause problems for those around her. And also there's a sense that, she's a very strong person, and that she might want to just use her strength and her powers to deal with things and, not rely on others. That might be part of it too. But the idea, or not even the idea, the reality is that does cause problems in multiple storylines. And so this track maybe relating to that feels like it could be a reasonable manifestation of the concept. But I like at the end how it does go back to that consonance and that warm elegance that the track starts with, but perhaps a bit fuller, which, again, maybe there's a conceptual idea there that she will eventually realize, or, any character in the show, but especially the main characters realize that, they are there for each other, and maybe leaning on other people and allowing that innocent emotional disposition to be more than just what any one person has to bear could be, in fact, some conceptual meaning here. I might be completely speculative here, and maybe that is in no way the thought behind the composition, but as the track played out from simple and beautiful to a bit tension-filled and then back to warm and beautiful, that maybe there's something to it. In any case, it's an incredible series of soundtracks and scores to 3 amazing seasons, and there is a 4th and I think final season coming, although before that there's another spin-off series from a set of characters from Railgun, and I think they do show up in other storylines as well, or other series within the larger franchise. But yes, I'm not even sure if it's going to be called A Certain Scientific Railgun Item, but yeah, there's a group of people named Item, and there's an anime that's coming out based on their storyline, which I'm very excited for. In any case, we'll go through all this eventually over on my Patreon. A big shout out to Michaela once again, who knows of what I speak. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.